This is the RainMaker gizmo created by Matt Richardson, found in the Nuke Survival Toolkit in about 10 minutes. So the RainMaker tool creates kind of water droplets on the camera here, and here we have a clip from Kong Skull Island. We've had a couple of guests who have worked on this VFX masterpiece. And you can see here that it's not often that the water stuff is used. A lot of these tools you find are used kind of like one-offs, used very briefly, but they are used. So in this case, whenever something comes thrusting at camera with water, that motivates the fact that the camera will get wet. So you can see these little water driplets kind of building up, and some of them just dripping down. So you can kind of see there, this driplet right here is kind of coming down. And then if you watch the entire sequence or watch this movie in whole, because it's really quite a sight to see, it's got some amazing visual effects. I mean, there's a lot of shots, but the water isn't necessarily coming towards camera, so you're not going to see buildup of camera, and you don't want to make the camera too obvious that it's present in the scene. But eventually, further down the line, Kong gets a hold of this lizard, and he starts to pull the tongue out, and as his hand sort of thrusts towards camera, you can see really only at the bottom left and bottom right are we visibly seeing any water droplets hitting camera. And that's just, you know, just like, let's go ahead and show you, like, boom, like right there. So you can see these little water droplets kind of coming in. And there's a really great tool set, again, created by Matt Richardson here, so we'll go ahead and take a look at it. So again, if you have the Nuke Survival Toolkit, just type in RainMaker MR, and now you have drops and background. So drops pull down is basically for pre-rendered, in case you don't want to keep re-rendering, re-simulating this stuff as you have a long comp, you can actually write it out, say, as an EXR sequence and bring it in. And we'll talk about that in a minute. For right now, we're just going to throw the background on this Kong footage, and we'll just go ahead and take a look at what we got. So if you kind of take a look, it's kind of hard to see because if I go ahead and just, you know, disable and re-enable, you can kind of see it. And if you want to see it specifically, and it's a good idea to, for your at least first time using this, to jump over to rain only on the comp itself. So you have globals, which if you want to multiply the amount of particles that are being created and so forth. If you want to bring down the resolution to speed things up a little bit, you can, and then bring it back up. You'll have a higher resolution. Your frames, understanding that there are three specific individual types of droplets. There's the big droplets, the medium droplets, and the small droplets. Only the big and medium get gravity because only big and medium droplets would actually be affected by gravity and start to drip down, so be aware of that. So the first frame, you can actually set the first frame of the water accumulation to be before the first frame of the shot. So I can do like -20 here. And you can do this for each individual, big, small, and medium. And so that means that the simulation actually takes place on frame 20 at the beginning. And then by the time you get to frame the beginning of the sequence, then you have water already accumulated on your shot. So that's totally up to you. Go ahead and put this back. The lifespan, if you put this to say like 2 frames, things will start to, you know, fade off pretty quick. You can see how fading is pretty quick. But we're going to go ahead and leave that as, you know, the evaporation process takes time, and, you know, for something to disappear that quick, unless there's wind, obviously. And then you got gravity. So again, only big and medium-sized droplets over time and accumulation will start to drip, as you can see here and here. So you can actually come in here and change the direction of this. Say you got wind coming from left to right or something. You can change the direction to X, and now, and you can see it's not simulating. I have to, it's like a bug, I think. You got to go into the big sims here, and I'll just change the amount or something, or size, and that kind of re-sims it so that we should start to see the drips start to move, as you can see here, from center to left. So now you can see this kind of going on. And again, you can come in here and choose. Maybe you only want to have small particles and medium. Maybe you just want to have big and medium and not small. So you can kind of choose what you want. And kind of, you know, you can also disable the trails. So if you don't want those watery trails, you can turn them off. But if you want, in this case, you can see the kind of like fading water trails, as you can see here. So again, this is divided up into 3 different ones: big, medium, and small. And again, you'll notice that big and medium only have the gravity, whereas small doesn't. So you can change all types of things like the amount, and then the gravity multiplier. You can really crank this up to something crazy, like 3 or something. And now you got things that are a little bit too crazy. So let me go ahead and try to put this on. And then you got your probability of gravity kind of affecting them. And again, if we go, it looks kind of cheesy right here, but if we go ahead and plug this onto our actual comp, we can start to see what this looks like. So you can kind of see right now it's a little bit over the top. And again, this stuff is just too bright for what we're doing. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back to, and again, don't get too crazy with this stuff. Try to keep it simple here. And then we can come in here, we can make adjustments later. I'll set this back to -1 for gravity. And like I said before, I think it's just a refresh bug. You just got to like change up some of these here to get this to work, or else the simulation will continue to not be from up and down. So again, you can see we can come over here and change everything from the amount of the small to the medium, right? And even for the big droplets, which, for us, we probably don't want to have too many of those, just maybe a few, as you can see here. Now, again, you can come over here and start to play with the effects. So you can see the effect itself is the blobify radius, so it's going to get blobbied pretty quick. Kind of show it like this, be very blobby. It's sort of like, it's just a threshold of just the kind of like melting with the other places or pieces. If not, they're going to be independent of themselves, but it's kind of like merging themselves together. And then you have displacement amount, how much crazy displacement do you want, and then you have your displaced noise size. You can go ahead and adjust that, and then trail lengths and so forth. Anything below this comp will affect anything with the pre-rendered sort of affected. So for instance, we can come in here and start to blur this a little bit, and a lot of this you're going to have to come in here and turn off the rain only so we can start to see what's going on in our comp here. So you can start to see the accumulation of the droplets and so forth. This is where we can start to play with. You could also put the rain in the alpha, so you can start to see the rain is in the alpha if you wish to make any adjustments. So now I can come in here, make adjustments to the gamma, the ratio, if we're talking about maybe something, I'm assuming anamorphic, embossed, displaced, and then of course we got your defocus, if you just want to have a defocus on there. And that's pretty much it. Now you also have this input we want to drop. So you could just take your rain, in this case we have some rain that I rendered, and I just rendered the first like 250 frames of this in the form of an EXR with an alpha. I don't think you really necessarily need the alpha, but you could throw that in, and then you just read it in. So here you can see, if I go ahead and read this in, this is pre-rendered. And again, you do this because to speed up production, you don't want to have, pre-rendered. You don't want to have simulations in a long chain of stuff on a comp. If you can pre-render it, less computation, and have it kind of recache each time, you can have it just kind of, you can build it up from there. And then you can go ahead and put in your drops input. So now, if I come in here, we're still using the current sim, but if I turn on use pre-rendered drops, now it's reading in this. And the only thing of all of these pull downs that's actually being used is the comp part. So here again, we could adjust comp size, defocus if we wish, blur size and so forth. So as you can see here, we'll go ahead and kind of just play around and so forth. And that's pretty much it in regards to that. And you go ahead and see how faster, this is going to be a lot faster as far as simulating. And I'm kind of doing a bad demonstration of this because you can see the droplets are a little bit too bright. But if you kind of play with this, you can get very similar results that you've seen in this movie, Kong Skull Island. So as you can see, it's a really, really cool tool. Go ahead and just kind of take a look at it and just play with it. You also have, you can obviously mask out certain areas, so you only have water at specific areas where the camera would be hit by water. And again, it's just a really wonderful tool to get into. Everything we do in compositing is subtleties. So much of you see on these other websites are all about like, oh, flashy this, flashy that. But, I'm really just about showing you guys these once in a while opportunities to put something in your reel if it, actually, if something gets thrown at your camera that's watery and the genre is some kind of film that is okay to sort of bring the awareness of the camera in the shot, and that's not all cases. So hope this helps. We did it under 10 minutes, and I hope you guys to see more of these kind of quick demonstrations.